Wow. Wow, is that powerful or what? The thought of right now, something can emerge. Healing, restoration, wholeness. That's what this Advent season is all about. And today we focus on love. Can you just say love? Love. And the whole idea of love and how it's supposed to permeate everything. Everything. Can you love? Do you know how to love? Do you love you? And that whole idea, the concept of love. Right now, the presence of love coming into the space and letting us know that's our purpose. Our total existence. It's all about love. We're all agents of love. And embracing that is the most important thing we can do. But unfortunately, what happens is we get injured. You ever see the commercial late night says, have you been injured in a slip, trip, and a fall? And that's what happens to us. We get injured. On that lane of love, we get injured. It's a slip, a trip, and a fall. And maybe you didn't cause that slip, trip, and fall. Maybe you were the victim. And then it impairs your ability to love. But today we're asking you to go within. Jeremiah 30. It's a passage of the Bible that's very important during this Advent season. Because it asks the question, can a man or a woman go inside of themselves and pull out the Christ? And I ask you this morning, will you allow yourself to go inside of you, pull out the Christ, and know that when you pull out that Christ, you're pulling out love? Because all the Christ is the love center of you. So I ask you this question. Can you go within? Can you go within? Can you go within? And can you pull out the Christ? That's all that we want to do today, is focus on your ability to love. No matter what's happened in the past, know that you're an agent of love. And being that agent of love, you're on a mission to show that through anything that causes that slip, trip, and fall, I can rise higher above it and move into a space of love. And when I radiate love, love is reciprocated to me. Yesterday we had a men's group meeting, and I told them about this theory that I have, that I've been applying in my life for so many years now. And it talks about how when I'm within 12 to 6 feet of you, what I try to do is make eye contact with you. You know how most of us now, we do like this. We become wall watchers as we walk. Or cell phone screen watchers. It's the avoidance of eye contact. Well, what I try to do is get within a space and see you. See your eyes. And as we get closer, once we make that eye contact, I say, hi. How are you? And that whole idea is I see you. I value you. I appreciate you. I love you. Because I know you're an agent of love just as I am. I am very thrilled this morning because we have a spiritual warrior in the house this morning. A spiritual warrior because he's a fighter, a battler. And he's going to take us on a journey this morning that I'm sure will leave us in a space where we feel loved and know that we are loved. And so this is no stranger to Renaissance Unity. He's a friend. And he happens to be one of our ministers' best friend. And so we're indebted to Reverend Michael Van Overbeck for bringing him to us this morning. Michael, can you stand up and be acknowledged? You know, our speaker today was with us yesterday. And as he leaned in and talked about our ability to overcome, supersede, and ascend to a higher level, it's all predicated on always remembering that we are love agents. And through his journey, the challenges have presented a unique opportunity to rise up and role model all the things that we talk about in our spiritual community. that oneness with God. And sometimes we lose touch with that oneness, that sense that I can do all things through the Christ that strengthens me. But he's always on that path, reshaping, remolding himself, rededicating himself to something bigger and better, a beacon of hope, light, and love. So this morning, I am very proud to present to you our friend, Minister Jami Lula. Love you. Thank you.
Morning, y'all.
Morning.
I send greetings from Michael Beckwith in my Agape community. I talked to him the day before I left and he said, please extend my greetings. So deeply honored to be here. And give it up for the band and these amazing singers. Y'all blew my hair back today. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feels like I'm walking on marbles. Can't still the earth beneath my feet. Is my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling? I can feel my heart begin to pound. Everybody said something's calling me. Deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. A long dark night, my soul, it wanders. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, hold me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord. is calling me a little bit deeper than I ever been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I ever been before. Compassion's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Faith is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. America's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Patience is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Forgiveness is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. God is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never Thank you for calling me. Oh Lord, thank you for calling me. And thank you all for answering the call. Oh,
I'm turned on now. Good morning. My name is Jami Lula once again. For those of you that, I think it's big up there. It's not Jami or Jam 1, Jami Lula. Something's calling me. I felt this is appropriate because these last almost 3 years of what we've gone through, I suspect that something's been calling all of us when we were in isolation, when we were sitting at home, when we weren't able to see our friends, we weren't able to gather for holidays, we weren't able to gather with the people that we loved. People were suffering and ill or anything, we weren't able to gather with them, to hold them. Some of us lost people without being able to see them. And something's calling us. This song came out of a prayer. Came out of a prayer that started as a prayer partnership almost 25 years ago with my wife, Susie Lula, Reverend Susie Lula. She had said, I'm doing a 30-day prayer devotional with Kathleen McNamara, who's the head of the practitioner corps at Agape. And I said, what's that? She says, well, we call each other and we pray with each other. We see what we're in need of prayer for each day, and we hold each other in consciousness and we pray. I said, I want to do that. And we weren't dating at the time, but the power of prayer, who'd have thunk? We started praying together and realized that there was something more going on, but there had to be this one particular day. I can remember I was living on Moore Park near Lancashire, and I'm sitting in this big chair on the phone with Suze, and she's praying, and I'm like, I've got to go. Something's calling me. And I went and began to write that song. What's calling you? What's been calling you? What's been calling you that you perhaps haven't been answering? That you perhaps have been avoiding? I grew up Catholic. I grew up a few miles away down the road on the other side of the 75 down 696 in the humble village of Roseville. I graduated from high school there with known my best friend Michael since first grade. We both had more hair at that time. He used to rub it in there. Laugh it up there. And I've always had a calling in my heart. I grew up Catholic. From the time I was in second grade till I was probably 18 or 19 years old, every night before I went to sleep, no matter what, I did three Glory Bees, 3 Hail Marys, 3 Our Fathers, and 3 acts of contrition. No one told me to do it. I just started doing it. And I did it every night. No matter how high or drunk I was as a teenager, young adult, I did it before I went to sleep. And then I kind of lost my religion because I had a download. And I didn't understand it at the time. Maybe you've had something similar to this in your life. I was coming down off of something in my late teens. Been out partying the night before. And what came through me was, God's not out there. God's within me. And we're not right, and they're not wrong. And I looked around and thought, what the heck? Where did that come from? Because all of my mentors at that point in my life, they knew how to drink and get up and go to work the next day. They knew how to score dope, and they knew how to get laid. And that was Mecca as a young man in the culture at that time of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I wanted to be a rock and roll star. And I didn't understand that download, but it stuck with me. Has anybody ever had anything like that come through you and you just don't understand it? Yeah. It happens. And it takes the time that it takes to understand it. It takes the time to understand what's calling you, what's calling me. Those prayers, because I believe in the power of prayer, and I learned a different form of prayer when I got to Agape. I learned the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment, which is more affirmative prayer. It's not begging and beseeching or asking for something. It's knowing the truth, the absolute truth, that the infinite presence of love, the infinite presence of love, the infinite presence of God is not out there, it's within me. It's my divine essence. It's the truth of who I am. It's not pie in the sky waiting to get to heaven. It's taking and creating heaven on earth. And then it's knowing the truth about myself, giving thanks for that truth, and then releasing that truth, knowing that it is done now. Holding it. That's a very different way of praying than I learned growing up. Perhaps some of you can identify the idea of begging and beseeching for something. Just give me a little crumb. Just please. In the sense of I'm not really worthy because I was born of original sin, as opposed to the truth that we are born of original love. Each and every one of us is born of original love. In archery, to sin is to just miss the mark. You've missed the mark. So get back on track and seek to hit the mark. The mark is what's calling me. For me, in my ministry of music, my mark is to uplift, heal, open hearts, and inspire individuals to a greater awareness of their connection with the infinite in, as, and through their very lives. Recognizing that it's not somewhere out there in the sky after I die. It's right here, right now. And the idea of I'm a sinner, or the idea of my God's better than your God, and your God's wrong, and my God is right, is hell, in my humble opinion. I want to live in heaven. I want to know the truth that no matter which way we pray, no matter which God or however you're holding it, if you're holding in consciousness and you're holding in prayer and the common prayer, the beauty of my journey, that I thought I wanted to be a rock star. I'd probably be dead by now had I had that fame and that stardom and that money and that access to just be a bigger fool than I was back then. And it was just ignorance. It was having to grow up. Anybody else have that experience? Thought you wanted something, thought you wanted a lot of money, you wanted a lot of fame, and good looking, you wanted to drive a big, it's like all that stuff, and we grow up and realize it's like, that's not who I am. I had an experience back in May where I went on a journey. Reverend Michael is affiliated with a retreat center down in Costa Rica called Rhythmia. And I've been sober for 29 years. Thank you. Basically sober for doing something for 29 years that I shouldn't have been done in the first place, just stopping that. But I called my sponsor and I said, I'm going to do this journey. And it's ancient. The indigenous cultures have been doing it for thousands of years. And it was mostly limited to the shaman that did it, but became more open to more people. And in this journey, I had the experience of re-merging with my soul and recognizing my oneness with everything, my oneness with the universe. But recognizing that my soul is so much larger than this flesh, that my soul is so much larger than me. Our souls, if we dwell in the knowingness of what's calling us, I think we get closer to experiencing our soul and our purpose. I'm just curious, by a show of hands, how many people feel like they have a calling in their life? And I'm just curious, how many people feel like they are continued to be called but have a hard time answering the call? Yeah. To be called doesn't make it easier. My brother from another mother, Michael, was called to create something. And he's living on the edge. And Reverend Michael always says, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. And he's living on the edge right now. And I'm holding for him because I know this is a dream and a passion and a vision that he has to create beauty. Michael has been investing in real estate. And one of the things that he did is he bought a 26,000 square foot building in Oak Park? 14. Well, I say 26 because it's bigger. It's 14. But he created a beautiful performance room. And I'm doing a concert there this evening at 5. You all are welcome. But he created something that he's calling the Expansions Collective Art Studio. What he wanted to do was create a space where artists could come together. There's a full commercial kitchen there. He's got a performance room. His wife's son is creating a recording studio in it. And then the rest of the space, he wants to create spaces for artists to come and work in community to create beauty. I think that's a high goal. That's not a hobby. That's something that's been calling him. And he's followed that call. It's the ministry that he lives. It's the ministry that he lives because he's a generous man. It's the ministry that he lives on a daily basis to see how he can be of service. what was calling me was the music. And what was calling me even deeper in the music was the desire to be of service. It stopped being about me. It stopped being about what could I get, what could I make, and instead moved in, how can I allow this music to serve the greater good, to awaken people to a greater awareness of the truth of their being. How can I take this music and go out and serve? Whenever I get up to sing or speak, my prayer is always, God, get me out of the way and use me. Use me. And allow a healing to go on. So the calling, I ask all of you to just go within and ask yourself, what's calling me that I'm not answering? And what's in the way of me answering that call? And living that life of higher expression. Living that life that God so loved the world that it created each one of us to express more of itself. I don't look at God as like the all-powerful Oz any longer. I'm in communion. Part of my journey was recognizing that Jesus the Christ consciousness, we've created the myth of something so much larger than us. And it's my humble belief that the spirit and the consciousness of the Christ walks with me. Came to live here so he could see what my experience is and what your experience is. So he's not up there and out there. He's within us and he walks with us. We look eye to eye and know the truth, because God or Jesus or Buddha or Allah or however you frame it, it's like Avatar. He looks in our eyes and says, I see you. The Namaste. The Christ in me witnesses the Christ in you. What's calling you today? What have you answered? What have you not answered? And I implore you to this idea. I know from personal experience that when I'm not answering the call, the tendency is to want to judge myself for not answering the call. I'm inviting us all to suspend judgment of ourselves and of anybody else. Put your hand on your heart and say, it's so understandable that I should feel this way. It's a technique that my wife taught me, and it's that visceral experience of someone, it's just, I so understand you. Finding that self-compassion, it's so understandable that I should feel this way. It's so understandable that I should feel this way. And I find loving compassion for myself. And I suspend judgment of that old story that wants to come through and judge me the way I was taught. I'm being judged. Jesus is up there on the cloud with a chalkboard, and it is fully white because of all my bad thoughts and all my bad deeds, and that's not sin for me. I miss the mark. I get back up. The slate is clean. I forgive myself for judging myself as. It's so understandable that I should feel this way. And what's in the way of me and what's calling me? Because there's always something calling. We got a lot of homeless out in Los Angeles. We have tent communities all over the valley where I live. What's calling me? What's calling me to be of service for my brothers and sisters that are out there? Some of them have challenges with addiction and whatnot. Some of them just have come on hard times. What's calling me to serve them? And how can I serve them? What's calling you? Suspend judgment whether you're answering it or not. Suspend judgment of yourself. Forgive yourself for that judgment. And find out what's in the way of you and what's calling you. And I trust that you will get to that calling. and you will live that calling. What if you knew you had everything you need? What if you knew you could live your wildest dreams? Would you run and hide or go along for the ride? Test the current and tide in the oceans of possibility. What if you knew? What if you knew? What if you knew that the brilliance you're mining is you? What if you knew? What if you knew that the infinite's rising in you? I'm so grateful. I want to thank Reverend Glenn. I want to thank Brett, Reverend Wilma, Donnie. Well, that's not Donnie. Donnie, you changed. You put a Donnie. Oh, there you are. I want to thank the band. This is all ministry. Ryan and Austin and our bass player, I don't see, our singers, this is ministry. Thank you for your vibration and love that you bring. You all shine and are so radiant. You are part of the message. It's not music and the message. It's all the same thing. It's ministry. Thank you for allowing me to participate with you. Thank you for allowing me to participate with you today. I'm answering my call. And you are the call today. And I'm grateful for the call. And I'm grateful for the blessings that you've bestowed upon me. I have an affirmation that I want to share with you, that I want you to repeat after me if you would. I am grateful. Oh, come on, we're in Detroit. I know you can do better than that. I am grateful for the deepest callings of my soul. And I willingly answer with an open heart and open mind. One more time. I am grateful for the deepest callings of my soul. And I willingly answer with an open heart and open mind. And so it is. Thank you. This is a song I wrote for my son, who's 20 now. He's a filmmaker. He's feeling challenged. And what all the shamans said and reminded me of is that as a Western culture, we are so used to doing everything to not feel our feelings. So I allow us to just sit with whatever's calling us, like I invite my son. Let's just get through this semester. You're going to be fine. What if it's true? You have everything you need. What if it's true? You can live your wildest dreams. Will you run and hide or go along for the ride? Trust the current and tide in the ocean of possibilities. What if you knew? What if you knew? What if you knew that the brilliance you're mining is you? What if you knew? What if you knew that the infinite's rising in you? What if it's true that there's never need for shame? What if it's true that there's power in your pain? Will you run and hide or go along for the ride? Trust the current and tide in the ocean of possibility.
What if you knew? What if you knew? What if you knew that the brilliance you're mining is you? What if you knew? What if you knew that the infinite's rising in you? Shadow and light, yin and the yang, it's all part of you. The past is the past, we all make mistakes, it isn't your true. Come on. That the brilliance you're mining is you. What if you knew? What if you knew that the infinite's thriving is you? What if you knew? What if you knew that your soul's so much larger than you? What if you knew? What if you knew your design is divine? Yes, it's true. What if you knew? What if you knew? Oh, here we go. If you knew, what if you knew? What if you knew? Thank you all so very much. Thank you, Brett.
Jami, Lula. So we have watched, we didn't get to see you as a teenager. We heard about that today. But we have certainly watched you grow up and grow deeper in a powerful way.